Coming up on This Week in Radio Tech, I'm in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic at 100.1 FM. This is Rafael Recio. He's the Director of Engineering here. We're going to have a great conversation about amazing technology and how they're really up to date here in the Dominican Republic. It's coming up next on TWiRT.
This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you by Broadcasters General Store with outstanding service, savings, and support. Online at bgs.cc. By Broadcast Bionics with the Bionics Studio, including talk show control, social media, and visual radio. Broadcast Bionics brings exceptional audience engagement to radio and TV. By Angry Audio. Audio problems disappear when you get angry at angryaudio.com. By Nautel, worry-free transmission you can count on with outstanding control, reliability, efficiencies, and Nautel's unmatched 24/7 customer support. Online at nautel.com. And by Max Connect Wireless, prioritized high-speed internet service designed for transmitter sites and remote broadcasts.
Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. I'm Kirk Harnack, your host. And oh my goodness, look at where we are today. We're in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and I've got an amazing guest here. He's an engineer, and I'm in a beautiful studio. I mean, the likes of which I've been in studios all around the world. I've been in some nice studios. This is the nicest studio I've ever been in. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm Kirk Harnack, and I'm kind of on a working vacation in the Dominican Republic. That's why I'm here. We're celebrating my wife's mother's 100th birthday. We did that last Saturday. And I feel so delighted to get introduced to Rafael Recio. Rafael, so good to meet you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And I'm so, so many people here don't speak English, but you do. And thank you.
Kind of. I deal with it. I know. I can do a little bit. I don't know. Probably like the whole interview, yeah, hopefully.
Well, if you feel the need to spit out some Spanish, that's okay. We'll do our best. Hey, so actually, you and I almost met at NAB because you were there.
Yeah, I was there for from Sunday to Wednesday. That's what the final day. It was Saturday through Wednesday, but I got in on Sunday, and then my first day was Monday. Yeah.
So tell me about the station that we're at, 100.1. Tell me about that.
So this project began at 2022 around. It was pretty ambitious. We had this whole space for us. Something happened between 2022 and 2023. The building got on fire. Yeah, we had to rebuild everything from scratch. We use this space as the TV because we share this space with a television channel, which is in the same building. So we had to share this space with the radio and the television studio. While we were getting all the things together down there with the TV studios, and probably a year after that, we got everything set up down there. So we worked in here with all our hearts, and with the design. We work hand to hand with the station director, Harold Peña, who's around here. Yeah. And this came out, and everything has been going well since then. Everybody likes it. I've seen you liked it. That's good. That's good for us. And yeah, that's it.
Well, we're going to talk about some of the equipment in here during the show today. And so I should ask, what is your job here? What do you do at the station?
I'm like the local engineer. I work with everything that has to do with broadcast and the technology inside the radio for audio.
Awesome. We're going to find out more about what Rafael does. Also, I understand he's been in business with his father, who's also an engineer. So that's an interesting story. We'll tell you more about that coming up. Kirk Harnack here in Santo Domingo at 100.1 FM. Our show is brought to you in part by Nautel. And they have an amazing and pretty interesting test drive program going on. If Suncast can pop that up on the screen here, it's the HD Digital Radio Test Drive. The HD Digital Radio Test Drive is an offering intended to break down the barriers keeping many broadcasters from trying HD radio. HD radio transmission has the potential to create critical presence on the car dashboard and help stations stay competitive in a field of alternate media choices. Based on Nautel's software-based air chain technology, HD Digital Radio Test Drive allows broadcasters to try HD radio transmission in their market for up to 6 months to unlock listeners, content, and new revenue potential without needing to install and purchase $40,000 to $50,000 worth of HD gear. So here are the bullet points of the program: an easy, minimal cost option to turn on HD radio transmission. And what you need to get started, you need to lease or purchase a GV2 from Nautel. That's a transmitter, an FM HD transmitter, the GV2, or upgrade your GV transmitter to a GV2. You also need an Xperi main station or equivalent license, an assigned trial agreement with Nautel, and you can supply content for up to 4 channels delivered via Livewire or AES 67. You need to contact your Nautel rep about this program, the test drive, the GV2 HD radio test drive from Nautel. Folks, Nautel is doing everything they possibly can to help radio stations, to help us as an industry move ahead, move forward, and stay relevant and get digital, and really importantly, get on that car dashboard so that you have a meaningful presence there against the alternative medias that you'll find on dashboards these days. One of my stations is HD now, thanks to Nautel, and we don't have a GV2 yet. That's coming. But you need to try this out. Go to the website nautel.com, and click on the HD radio test drive. All right, it's Kirk Harnack here in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and we're here with Rafael Recio. I can't roll the R's as good as you can. Oh, my wife's trying to train me, but I'm getting there.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
When I drive around Santo Domingo, most Americans would think, oh my gosh, this city's a mess. It's a huge city with quite a variety of beautiful buildings and poor barrios, right? Yeah. And everything in between. Traffic is kind of amazing, not necessarily in a good way, but it moves, and it is overall a beautiful city. I noticed there are a lot of towers in Santo Domingo, the downtown area particularly. I see a lot of FM antennas and a lot of television antennas too. What is the FM band like here? Do you have a lot of competition in Santo Domingo?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. We have the whole band of FM from 88.0 to 108.0. It's occupied. I mean, there's not a glimpse. There's not a chance for anyone to be there. So it's crowded. Yeah. Competition is really hard here.
Now, your marketing moniker here, 100.1 FM. Do you have call letters here in the Dominican Republic? Like in the U.S., we have WABC or WBZK.
It's HI. Every station has a HI, and then the other letters for how do you say that? For the identification. That's it. That's it.
But you guys go by 100.1. That's your website. 1001.
Yeah. That's the same website. 100.1 FM.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So your format, I tuned into you after I was introduced to you I want to give a shout out to my colleague, Juan Puned at Telos Alliance. Juan is our Latin American representative. He's from Panama, and he lives in Miami now. And Juan and I have been friends for years, and he introduced me to you.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine too. Yeah, he is.
He's got a son plays like professional football.
Yeah. Actually, soccer. It's soccer. Yeah. But he's a good one. He always comes by here in Santo Domingo. He loves like running by the sea. We call it El Malecón. Yeah, in the south part of the city. He loves it. Yeah, he always tries to stay on the hotels that are on the same street for the Malecón, so he can run by at 6 a.m. and he loves it. Yeah. He's a nice guy. I like him so much. Yeah.
Good deal. So, we were talking about the FM landscape here. I tuned into your station after Juan introduced us, and you guys play today's hit music, like American songs, typically.
Yeah. Everything from Taylor Swift to the ones that are hot right now. Yeah.
Now you have a morning show. My wife and I were listening to that on the way in. Tell me about the morning show.
It's called The Breakfast Show. We talk about, I don't know, actual stuff. They talk about actual stuff.
Right.
Yeah. They talk live there. They hear people's opinion, people calling and giving their opinion about topics and stuff like that. Yeah.
Seems like today my wife was commenting, they were talking about the age difference in a man and a woman who are dating, and how much is too much age difference.
Yeah. They're usually on this kind of topics from young people to call and give their opinions, and they're always connecting with the people through FM and through media too.
We were in the car, stuck in traffic coming in, and my wife is listening, and now they're speaking in Spanish on the breakfast show. So I'm not understanding so much, but my wife's understanding all of it. And my wife is getting upset. Oh, she says, no, these people don't know what they're talking about. They're wrong. And I said, honey, it's okay. That's part of what a morning show does, is they stir up some controversy so that people will call in. Now, sure, sometimes they try to give good advice, but also they say things that may evoke emotion in the listener.
Of course, and they, in the same cast, they have different opinions, and they get into this debate live, and then they're asked, which side are you on? You're on this guy's side or the girl's side, and that kind of dynamic goes in there. Yeah.
And that's part of what radio is. We create topics to talk about.
Of course, yeah.
So let's move to the engineering topic, because that's kind of what we're here for.
That's our stuff. Yeah.
So we have a studio here that has a couple of Axia consoles, the smaller IQ console, and you have a split console. Just talk to me about the design of the studio and what was your intention. In fact, may I hand you the microphone?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to scoot back out of the way a little bit and let the camera see more of what's in the studio here.
So what we have here is an IQ console. This one has the telco extension with 6 channels with a built-in hybrid control. We also have the VSET there, so the producer can take the phone call after going on air. And this desktop was built for people to feel like they're on the same space, and they're talking all to each other, one in front of each other, because we were running away from this typical design of people sitting next to each other, and they have to do like this to look to each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with this desktop, you can be like talking to each other in front of each other.
Well, I'm going to try to show that off. Now, my producer, Suncast, he is amazing at these impromptu shots. So I'm going to back up a little bit to show more of the studio. And tell you what, I'm going to hand the mic back to you. You talk about the studio, and I will do a walk around tour.
Okay, so as I was saying, you see all the spots for the talents are in front of each other, and the host goes in the middle. So everyone is looking to the host as they were talking and going through the radio show. And for cameras and for live production with video, it looks amazing. I saw your face when you came in. I know how you felt. So it's perfect. Works.
Tell me about the microphones and
so we're using here Electro Voice RE20s. These are pretty popular here in the Dominican Republic, with Sennheiser's HD280, also very popular down here, with how do you call that? This type of cable that look like old phones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Coil.
Yeah, that coil cable, that's flexible for durability, that works really good. And
During the
we
show,
have 5 spots.
Who is sitting in the workspace here?
So we have the control room guy, who's the director for this station. The same director, the guy that I told you earlier about, Harold Peña. He's the same that controls he does the controls for audio and automation. How do you say that? Automation. Yeah, that's the word. And
And then tell me about what's mounted under.
Okay, so we got 2 microphone processors.
Yeah.
These are Symmetrics. Yeah, those work pretty good. 4 channels, 4 inputs, and we got a GPIO node here who's not in use right now.
Yeah.
This is a QOR
Mhm.
16.
Yep.
And a crown amplifier for the speakers. Yep.
And this, how many microphones do you have in the studio altogether?
For the show we have 5. Yeah, and then for the one who's controlling here, that one.
The Core 16 only has 2 mic inputs, so you are doing separate mic
Processing, and preamp, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And these are 4 each.
Yes.
Symmetrics does.
Yeah, because we got 6 mics.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go back to let's go back to the main camera there, Suncast. I'm going to put this camera back in place, and maybe it'll still be a nice shot of Rafael. So you chose audio over IP, and thank you for choosing Axia. Axia is my employer, so I have a little bit of a bias there. But you chose audio over IP technology. Talk to me about your thought process and choosing to go with this new kind of technology.
So basically, on my first studio build, when I first started back in 2012, around there, I was installing an analog console. We had to run tons of cables in and out. It was a 14 channel, I think. So you can imagine the amount of cables going in and out. And afterwards, the very next project that I had was a studio that was getting an Element, an Axia Element, that big one with the giant power station. And I would say that I did not choose it. It chose me. Yeah, it chose me. So this is curious because the first video I saw of someone setting up a studio on YouTube, it was you with another person in there.
With a lady?
Yeah, with a lady.
In Spanish?
Yeah. It
You
was
heard the
translated.
Spanish version,
I heard the Spanish version. Yeah.
Well, of course, we did it in English, but the company in Miami did the overdub.
Of course, yeah.
I showed this to my wife, and she's that's funny. You speak Spanish very well, but that's not your voice.
That's not you. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I saw this video of you setting up a studio, like in a couple basic steps, going on with an RJ45 cable. That was crazy to me back then.
Yeah.
How do you do cable audio on an RJ45? So then I got into the manual and started setting it up, and it was as easy as it looked on the video. And for this type of solutions, for stations that need more than, 10, 12 faders, multicast is so easy on audio over IP.
Oh yeah, the multicast technology where one source can go to one place or many places.
Yeah. Especially on Livewire, because you can tag it. You can put the name of the source, and it tells you where it's coming from. If it's coming from a node, if it's coming from an IP driver with a PC, and stuff like that. So it makes it easier. You can feed up to, I think it's 32 streams on a single cable.
Oh yeah, actually more than you can do 500 on a gigabit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean for the IP driver you can.
Yeah, for the IP drive up to 32.
32.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I mean it does the job so well, and you don't have to deal with compressing. It just goes natural and it stays with the same quality. I
asked you earlier about this automation system, and we're going to find out actually more about that because it's a little curious, the automation system. And we're going to take a quick break right now and hear from our friends at Broadcast Bionics and their amazing Bionic Studio suite of tools to make your radio broadcast have even more usefulness, especially on social media. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Bionic Studio. The Bionic Studio brings all audience interaction to the fingertips of a production team in radio, TV and podcast. Our workflow-led system is working 24/7 around the world for small broadcasters and national and international networks. Our telephony module, Bionic Talk Show, allows cost-effective centralization, remote operation, scalability, and resilience across an entire network of stations, but at the same time is used in single-studio self-op environments. Social media curation and activity is now considered a broadcast-critical part of programming. Bionic Social means the studio isn't overwhelmed with a wall of interaction from an ever-growing number of social platforms. We combine SMS, MMS, and email together with a speech-to-text service for listeners using smart speakers. We enable studio teams to curate, filter, and display all platforms in one place, and post text, images, and video content to multiple platforms in one operation. Effortless collection of video content with Bionic Director has helped position some of the world's most successful stations as leaders in viral content, generating appointments to listen and free marketing via retweets and shares. Bionic Contest enables end-to-end tracking of on-air competitions, live reads, and prizes. These could be on-air contests, automated SMS entry, or online. Anywhere, and Skype TX for Radio brings high-quality audio and video contribution into the studio with ease. No need for dedicated PCs to run different applications. Everything is controlled within the Bionic Studio UI, and incoming connections are visible to users along with all other platforms. Our codec integration enables connection, algorithm configuration, and directory to a wide range of IP and ISDN codecs. The Bionic Studio, a unique suite of products designed to enable your talent to work smarter.
And Broadcast Bionics is where you'll also find the virtual rack product and the Caller One, Camera One, so many other cool things at Broadcast Bionics. Check them out at bionics.co.uk. Hey, I'm Kirk Harnack here in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and I'm here at 100.1 FM. With Rafael Recio. He's the engineer here, and we're going to find out more about his beautiful studio and the ideas behind it, and also kind of, how do engineers in other countries get experience to where they are comfortable and knowledgeable on broadcast engineering. But first, we teased a little bit about your automation system, and we really can't show it up close, but I asked you, hey, what kind of automation is this? And I was expecting an answer like, oh, it's wide orbit, or it's RCS or Zeta or something like that. But no, it's not. Tell me about your automation.
So this automation is from a local. It's a software engineer. He develops this automation, and he has the facility of taking this and join it with how do you say that? The software to program for the music to go. That's it, for the music scheduling and for the commercials. Mm-hmm. So the commercial for the traffic call, it goes hand to hand. And for accountants here in the I don't know
the billing, so you can send the cuentas, the bills.
La contabilidad.
Okay.
So the accountant knows how when the commercials go, and then it's all in. Yeah. And it's a local one.
Yeah,
so
that's amazing. This is a locally written software, and the guy who writes the software, he's got almost all of the Dominican market.
Yeah, I will say I don't know, 72%. Yeah. He's got it. Yeah.
And is it running in Windows?
Yeah, it runs in Windows.
It's been reliable for you?
It's been reliable, yeah. He's been around for, 25 years. So.
Are you using the IP audio driver in the computers?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But this means no sound card in the computer.
No sound card.
So, now this is your main studio where you do live programs. We're in a break right now, a midday break. There's no live program going on, although the automation is running right now.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have another room for production?
Yeah, it's right next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of console do you have there?
It's we used to have a Yamaha one with 8 channels. But right now we're using an USB interface.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's working fine for that.
It's I don't know if it's a Focusrite or another one. I don't remember, but it's there. It's there.
And most of your production probably is done in multi-track digital workstation.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So in a production room these days, you may not need an actual mixing console.
No. That's why we have an USB interface. We removed the console. It took too much space.
Now, in building this studio, I know you said you got started, then you had a fire in the building. You had to restart after everything got cleaned out. Actually putting the studio together, how long would you say it took for the actual construction?
Actually, I was about to show you. We did a time lapse of how much it took, but I couldn't find it on my phone. I probably found it after the interview.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you. But it took around 2 months and so. 2 months and probably a couple weeks.
Tell you what, on this time-lapse video, if it's possible for Suncast to edit that in later, we'll do that. But if it's not possible or easy, we will link to it. Maybe you can put it somewhere. We'll link to it in the show notes so you can see the time-lapse of the studio build. I love those things. I love a time-lapse. It's so cool.
That idea came up when we were starting to build the studio. We set up a GoPro. I think it was up there somewhere.
Okay.
And it happened. It looks great. Yeah.
That's cool. So after the audio leaves this room, where does the audio go next on its path to the transmitter?
So we have an Omnia 9, and the transmitter is like 2 rooms to that direction. It's like next door.
Oh, I saw the tower when I drove up.
Yeah, it's next
That's
door.
your actual tower.
Yeah, so we have a connection, an Ethernet connection running into the building through the all these walls and going into the transmitting side to an Omnia 9, which is processing the audio, and then going into it's right next to the transmitter, and then it goes to the exciter and then on air.
So in the Dominican market, are any stations broadcasting with HD radio? Anybody?
No, not right now. No.
Okay, so it's all FM, because I see a lot of I see a lot of old cars, but I see a lot of newer cars too. I gotta believe that some of them come with HD.
I've never seen HD on a radio receiver. I've never. Have you?
Yeah. We have some markets where we have there's some brands of cars where the HD radios, it's even standard nowadays.
Okay.
But other ones, they still charge a premium for HD. But I'm guessing that a certain number of the cars being sold here have HD. But if there's no HD to pick up, then nobody knows.
No. I mean, yeah. If there's no HD on air, there's no need for an HD receiver. I've seen satellite.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've seen a lot of cars with satellite radio.
Yeah.
But no HD. We do have HD on television. That's coming.
Okay.
That's a fact here now.
How many? Speaking of television, are there a lot of TV stations here?
Yeah, I think Dominican Republic has the most channels per territory.
Yeah.
All over the world, and no one has more channels per territory extension than us. We have too much. At the here in Santo Domingo and the other cities around, it's huge.
So you mentioned that the audio goes from here to an Omnia 9, and then what kind of transmitter are you using?
It's kind of an old one, but it's a Harris, and now it's called Gates Air, I think. Yeah. Harris, 5 kilowatt.
Is it tube or solid state?
Solid state.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, solid state.
And then your antenna, you have a multi-bay antenna on the tower.
Yeah, sure. It's a multi-bay. I think 4-bay or 6-bay. I gotta check, but I think it's 6-bay. Yeah.
Is the antenna new also, like the station?
No, not that new. I think it's like 10 years old.
Okay.
But it works fine.
And I see a lot of FM antennas driving around Santo Domingo. A lot of towers, a lot of FM antennas.
If you were coming in, you probably saw more than 10. Yeah. There's a main street that's right in the center of the city. It's called 27 de Febrero. Mm-hmm. That street, if you go like from one end to another, you could see probably more than 40 towers, because it's located in the center of the city, so you can hit both the northern part and the southern part of the city. So everyone likes to be. Actually, we're close to this. We're like a block away from the 27 de Febrero. So it's like one of the good spots for the antennas.
How popular is AM radio for the Dominican Republic?
Not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, at least here in Santo Domingo, they're probably like, I don't know, around 6 or 7 ish. I don't know, on air. Most of them are shut down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're probably religious. Yeah, religious, like Christian churches
Yeah.
like to use AM for their cults and everything. Yeah. But AM is not too popular here.
Tell me about regulation of radio signals. How do you get a license to put a radio station on the air? Now, you said in Santo Domingo here, there's no room for any more radio stations. But how do you go to the government to get a license?
You don't.
Oh,
You have to go to the owner, the one that has the permit to use the station, to use the frequency, and I don't know, like convince him to sell this to you, like the license.
well, this is like big cities in the U.S. There's no place for another FM station. So the way to get one is to buy.
Yeah. Buy the license from the owner, for the one that has the permit for broadcasting. Yeah.
You know, when we first got here a week ago, I noticed that there is a museum of telecommunications, and I guess it's in the first floor of the the original phone company. Maybe it's down. It's in the colonial area, and so my wife and I went through this museum. It was fascinating, and also fascinating because the Dominican Republic, it has always been a leader in deploying electronic communications
And in technology too. I've seen installations like for radio stations on different countries, and every time I see a studio using I don't know, analog consoles and tube transmitters, I go like, we are so advanced in comparison to those I don't know, like countries in Central America that still use this old technology for broadcast and for radio. And we're always been like a step forward, and trying to keep up with the technology.
I mean, from undersea cables to phone systems, all through the early phone technology, and then into cell phone technology, early adoption there. This museum, it only took a half hour to walk through the museum, and I took a lot of pictures. But just amazing to me how you had some people in the Dominican Republic who made it their business to adopt the latest and bring technology to this island.
Yeah. A good friend of mine who passed away, I don't know, like 2 years ago. His name was Vinicio Lembert. He was an engineer who, I think if he was not the first, he was one of the first ones to work with satellite comms. Yeah. He built the plates by itself with wood, and his story is beautiful. He used to sell these services to the main cable companies, and he told me the story that when those Muhammad Ali fights would go live, he would sell the rights for the broadcast here in the Dominican Republic, and people would go crazy because no one else had this technology. He was one of the first ones to bring satellite television here to the Dominican Republic.
Wow. You know, speaking of satellites, antennas, if you look around the rooftops in Santo Domingo, oh my goodness, the variety of antennas that people have, it's amazing. And I see, of course, so many satellite antennas. What is the popular satellite TV service here?
There are suppliers here for satellite services that connect to mostly U.S. satellites. But the main ones, I don't have the name, but I know there are locals here that sell this kind of services.
I also see some interesting design of antennas. I saw in a barrio, I saw a lot of antennas that look like a man's bow tie. So a lot of are these for television?
Yeah. Those are television receivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always heard of bow tie antennas, but I'm not sure I've really seen them.
Yeah, it's weird that you didn't come up to I don't know, like hangers. Yeah.
No.
They use clothing hangers.
hangers,
Yeah. For reception.
Now, one thing I've really noticed, and this is where we get back into modern technology, I see so many IP radios in Santo Domingo. Like everywhere, there's little dishes, 5.8 gigahertz, I guess, to 11 gigahertz. I see so many point-to-point IP radio systems. And I even see them, surprisingly, I've seen some beautiful new office buildings, but they're a little bit farther out. Maybe they don't have fiber there yet, and they have maybe some pretty impressive looking IP radio dishes. So is IP radio a really popular way to distribute internet services?
It's actually kind of crowded here.
Yeah.
Most I don't, how do you say that? Most offices, companies, they use it for to keep a private network between two sites.
Yeah.
But I tried using one of them for audio,
Right.
with two codecs,
Right.
but it was crowded.
So-
I couldn't put it up. I could not.
Too much interference.
Yeah, it was too much interference.
Yeah. In the U.S., of course, we have this problem. There are unlicensed bands and there are licensed bands. And it just so happens my radio stations are mostly in rural areas.
Mhm.
So unlicensed typically works okay for us. But I've been to other places where, of course, we get a licensed radio. And that means nobody else will be on the frequency, on your same frequency, because it's coordinated.
Yeah. Most of the frequencies here for IP radios are unlicensed too. So you just put up your plate and you just leave it there. Usually the plates just synchronize themselves by using like the scanner. This frequency is the cleanest, so we will use this one. And it's crowded. It gets crowded. Everyone is using them.
There are, you take a drive and you see hundreds and hundreds of, now some are for internet distribution, but you're right. I guess a lot of these are for companies point to point.
Using data links to send out files and stuff, and just to keep the same databases on different sites.
So one thing I was surprised by, and before we came to the Dominican Republic, I asked my wife about how is internet in the Dominican Republic, and she says, "Oh, it's really good. It's really good." And we rented an Airbnb, and there's fiber coming in, and then we go visit a number of her relatives in various apartment buildings, and these are not wealthy people. Everybody has fiber internet. We don't have this. I mean, you can get fiber. But I mean, even in modest income areas, modest and even low income areas here in Santo Domingo, people have fiber-based internet and it's fast. That's amazing to me. What do you think about that?
It's been like developing. So for the past, I don't know, like 10 years, everyone has been getting fiber. For the internet, providers have fiber to your home.
Yeah.
And the internet goes crazy fast. Internet connections, the bandwidth, it's crazy. I mean, the development of the fiber here, it's been growing exponentially.
I'm going to guess that in this economic market here, did you ever have wide coverage of cable TV with coaxial cable everywhere? And I'm thinking not as much as in the U.S. we have every town has coaxial-based cable TV service, and of course copper telephone lines.
Yeah.
And so when the internet came along, the phone companies tried to put internet data on phone lines with DSL, and that's kind of bad.
Yeah.
And then the cable companies put internet on their coaxial lines, and that works. It can work well. The technology is improved, but it still is not the best. And so it's almost like where I'm from in the U.S., we were hampered by the fact that we had these older physical technologies. And in Santo Domingo, it appears to me that you kind of skipped this. You skipped trying to put internet on phone lines, and you kind of went right to fiber as soon as that became available.
On the early 2000s, we used DSL.
Yeah.
It was a thing here, but from DSL we got to the coaxial for cable and for internet.
You did, okay.
Yeah, we did, but it didn't took too long for fiber to come in, and then after fiber, like coaxial, it was obsolete.
Yeah, very much.
No one has it now.
Every home I've been to, again, modest dwellings, people have the fiber from which they get their television. They have the modems, routers made by Huawei. It's very popular, obviously, and so they have a phone jack on them, cable TV, and fast internet.
Fast internet, yeah.
That's wow.
And IP television too.
Yes,
IP television.
I said cable.
IP television, yes.
Wow. Hey, we are talking with Rafael Recio at 100.1 FM in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I'm Kirk Harnack. We're doing This Week in Radio Tech. We're going to continue with some talk about technology and how Rafael came up to speed on audio technology, where he got his education, and how that's worked out with his father also being an engineer. We'll talk about all that coming up in just a few minutes. Our show, This Week in Radio Tech, is brought to you in part by Broadcasters General Store, representative for Henry Engineering. And I got to tell you about Henry Engineering and this fantastic product. I think it's fantastic because I have one. I use it. It's the back UPS fail-safe UPS power switcher. Now, on the face of it, this seems like a pretty simple device. But like everything else that Hank Landsberg does, this is very well executed. Now, this isn't meant to run several racks of gear. This is 15 amps worth of AC power. And the idea here is that if you have, let's say you have a rack mount or standalone UPS system that's going to take care of several things in a rack of equipment, and you have equipment that only has one power input, and that's very typical. We'll talk about my situation in a minute, but the back UPS, you connect one of its power inputs from the UPS, and you connect the other power input directly to the commercial power source. Excuse me. And the back UPS will feed the outputs, the dual AC plugs on it. It'll feed those normally from the UPS. But what happens if the UPS dies? Or what happens if you want to change the batteries on the UPS? Well, you might have to, maybe your UPS can do a bypass, but I've had some bad luck personally with those bypasses. So you want to switch over quickly, like in milliseconds, over to the commercial power. And that's what the back UPS does. If the input from the UPS dies, it switches right over to commercial power, and it can give you a contact closure to let you know that has happened. And then for switching back, you can instigate a delay to make sure your UPS is stable and everything's working fine. Now, how did I put this to use? At my transmitter site in Oxford, Mississippi, we have one rack of equipment, and all the important stuff in that rack has two power supplies. So we're talking about my servers and things like that. So that wasn't hard. One power supply is hooked to the UPS. The other power supplies go to commercial power. And so they take care of that themselves. But I've got another rack that is full of computers that don't have two power supplies. And so also there's an EAS system in there and a couple other, there's some Ethernet switches. And so I've got the back UPS feeding the single power supply on those different pieces of equipment, like the automation playout machines and the Ethernet switch and the router and things like that. So I feed one side of the back UPS with a UPS and the other side with commercial power. And we've had a failure or two of UPSs, and it switched right over to commercial power and worked fine without having to go through a lot of machinations or lash something up myself. So this back UPS, this is a really smart device to handle the practicalities that we find ourselves in broadcast equipment situations here. Back UPS from Henry Engineering. I love mine. Going to get more of them as we move forward and get more places, more of our transmitter sites set up this way. It's available, of course, from Broadcasters General Store. The website, bgs.cc, and you can call them at 352-622-7700. They're in Ocala, Florida, but it really doesn't matter where they are because they will ship you what you need. Some of it overnight, some of it in stock, and some of it they'll have it drop shipped to you very quickly. Check it out from Broadcasters General Store. Love these folks, good folks at BGS. Thanks a lot, BGS and Henry Engineering for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Hey, I'm Kirk Harnack here in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We're at 100.1 FM. The studios here, absolutely gorgeous studios. What a great design. And Rafael Recio is the Director of Engineering here at 100.1. Rafael, tell me a little bit about how you got into engineering. This is, not everybody does this, and you seem to have come up to speed pretty quickly.
Yeah, basically, when I was like around 12 years old, I used to follow my father to work.
Oh.
He's a broadcast engineering too. Since I was little, I was going with him to work and watching him work. Usually helping him out, grabbing things here and there.
Yeah.
And then I became interested with the business, and I started at the university at 17 years old.
Oh.
I went through my 4.5 years studying, and then I was involved in the business with of the family, because it's the business of the family in my house. And I started out 2012 around at the university, and finished around 2015. And then I started working with my father, and it has been a pretty, how do you say that, full of experiences, 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. I've learned a lot with him. We built a company from scratch. We're called Broadcast Technical Support, RD as República Dominicana. Yeah. And we've come along with great clients such as this one, and others throughout the Dominican Republic, not only Santo Domingo.
Wow, that's quite a good story. And so with your father's experience, I guess he has knowledge and hands-on experience with older broadcast equipment.
Yeah. Such as tube amplifiers, probably tube consoles too. He showed me an old one. I don't know if you remember the brand LPB.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. They had no faders, so they have like a volume knob, a big volume knob with 2 program buttons to go on air. We used to have one of those on one station, and he showed me like this big piece of equipment on the table, heavy one too. It was pretty heavy.
LPB is a pretty famous company in the U.S. They have done, of course, audio consoles. But the LPB actually stands for low power broadcast. That's what it means. And so they used to make these AM transmitters that were like 25 or 30 watts, and they were built for a special purpose, not to feed a tower, but they were built to feed an AC electrical system in a dormitory, in a college dormitory, where the AC wires were used as the transmitting antenna. And so you'd have a matching network between the transmitter, and you literally plug it in the wall and feed the dormitory, and you'd feed AM radio into the dormitory
with low power.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
That's where they got their name. Someday I'm going to do a show about it if I can get this guy to do the show. A friend of mine, he owned some radio stations, and for a few years he was contracted by LPB to build their consoles in his business. They contracted him to do this, and I think there was a bit of a falling out because maybe the quality of construction wasn't what they were hoping for.
Yeah, because it was probably like home built.
Yeah, it kind of was. Yeah. But the design of LPB has been a classic design. Yeah. So you have some of those in the Dominican Republic.
I've seen some. I used to. Yeah. They were removed. They're probably being exchanged with the audio over IP.
Yeah, exactly. So you came into the world of broadcast engineering. I mean, audio over IP had already been established and was becoming very popular in 2012.
When I came out of the university, it was a thing.
Yeah,
it was a thing back there. Yeah. It was starting here in Dominican Republic.
So other people that you went to college with, were some of them interested in broadcasting or other forms of telecom engineering? Most
of them are working now with cellular broadcasting. I've seen some of them on television, but I don't think none of them went into the broadcast of a radio or television. Some of them television, none. I don't think any of them went into radio. Yeah.
Do you feel like the Dominican Republic has enough broadcast engineers?
Yeah, I
You do?
think so.
You
Yeah,
think so?
I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
Well, and of course, with an independent company like you and your father, your family company, you stay pretty busy with this. Yeah.
Yeah. We have thanks God, we had a lot of clients here. Yeah. We tend to be really busy.
Tell me about now. This studio has got to be a great project, but tell me about another great project that you're particularly proud of. Maybe a transmitter project or a studio. What comes to mind as being something like, yeah, that was a good project.
Yeah.
We did a good job.
Yeah. Basically on RCC Media. RCC Media is a group of stations here in Dominican Republic. They have a bunch of FM stations, AM stations. They have a television channel too. But they have a building where they have, I don't know, around 14 stations in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And don't even mention the ones that are out there in the on other cities here in Dominican Republic. But basically, we did there like 3 studios at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We were working together with the 3 of them. We launched them in order. They were one next to the other. So as you came by the front door, the first one we launched that first, then the second one, and that in that order, going through the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. We had a great experience there, and people are always calling us, telling that they love the design, the quality of the audio, obviously Axia and audio over RP, and on every single studio. Yeah.
You know, this is my experience with audio over IP, especially with Axia, is that you build a bit of an infrastructure in a building, and then it's easy to add more studios.
Yeah. It's easier and to connect them.
Yes.
Yeah. So every August 16th of every year, the government gives out a speech. It's called rendición de cuenta. So the president goes and gives out a speech of how the year has been going, and with this live speech, we with audio over IP, we just do a matrix station. I don't know, like one of the 14s that are there, and then we take the audio feed from that station, and we distribute it to all the other stations. Yeah. That's like the magic of audio over IP.
That's so cool. Yeah, we have in the U.S. we call this the State of the Union.
Yeah.
Sounds similar.
Yeah. It's probably the same.
It's supposed to be a report to the Congress about how it's doing, but it's become more of a campaign speech.
Yeah. It's always a campaign speech. I'll tell you that. At least here in the Dominican Republic, they are like more like, instead of giving out the results of the government, they're saying how good they were.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you go to the teacher at school and with your homework, you say, "Look how good my homework is."
Yeah. That's it.
Thinking about another technology that's related here is voice over IP, or SIP, Session Initiation Protocol. I notice you have the Telos VX system here. What's been your experience in learning about SIP technology?
Great. It's been great. SIP had been a mystery to me until 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that existed. I always get the Telos that had the pots in there, and after I had a client that came up to me with a VX, the first one, the black one.
Yeah.
And he told me that worked with the IP lines, and I was like, I don't know about any IP lines. So they showed me how we had these IP lines long ago, but they were using these ATAs that turned digital lines into pots. So I had to register all these lines into the Telos into the BX Prime, into the BX Prime, and then some like distribute all the lines on all the studios. Yeah. But it taught me so much.
That was my experience too. Exactly, is I didn't know about voice over IP or SIP technology, and I Actually, I think I learned about it by getting a Raspberry Pi, and you could get a little program on a SD card to make the Pi boot up as a PBX.
As a PBX, okay, okay.
Yeah. I didn't learn about it from a book. I learned about it by, stumbling enough until I figured it out.
In it. Yeah. That's how I learned.
And so sounds like you learned about audio over IP before you learned about SIP.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned, first I got audio over IP, then I got SIP. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you have an Omnia 9 for the processing here. So you've spent some time really listening to the station. And I noticed this station sounds very good on the air. What are some of your thoughts about audio processing, about the competitive loudness, or what's important in this market in Santo Domingo to catch the ears of the listeners?
Most of the time I get, especially from the clients or directors from radio stations, that they need like this bassy sound that tumbles, like you can hear the rumble inside of the car. They like the listeners here in the Dominican Republic, they like that rumble, that bassy sound. Personally, I don't like that much. I like a more balanced, but that's basically what they're always looking for, like that bassy sound, like that. They called it corpulento, like robusto.
Yeah.
That's the word. In Spanish, that's the word, robusto.
Sure. We one thing my wife and I have in common is we like some of the older salsa music, because to me it almost sounds like, hey, that's like the Dominican version of Frank Sinatra. It's really classy music. But I've noticed that there's a beautiful range of instruments. Of course, there's trumpets and there's drums and there's keyboards and bass, and and when you listen to a radio station that's well processed, it's really rich, the sound that you can get from popular music, salsa, maybe bachata is the same way. I don't know.
And merengue too.
Merengue,
Yeah. You can hear all the instruments, all that little magic that comes out of a well-tuned processor. That's magic.
We are talking to Rafael Recio here at 100.1 FM in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I'm Kirk Harnack, and we're going to take our last break right now. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things. And when we come back, I haven't told Rafael yet about this, but we do a tip of the week. So you got 2 minutes. Okay. Think about what advice you might like to leave other engineers with, especially maybe other Spanish-speaking engineers in Latin America. If there's something that you'd like to pass along to them in terms of advice, we'll ask you that in a couple of minutes. Sure. This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you in part by Angry Audio. Don't get mad, get angry with Angry Audio. And I'm going to tell you about this little product called the Guest Gizmo. It is something that I just love because, Catfish, Mike Dosh, the owner of Angry Audio, he developed this idea of being able to install something that looks good in the countertop and not having to use a router, a wood router to do that. You drill a round hole. I hope it's 2 3/4 inches. You better check that before you drill a hole. 2 3/4 inch hole, round hole in the countertop, and then you drop in the Guest Gizmo. And the flange across the top, the bezel, if you will, around the top, covers up the round hole, and it just looks great. It includes the beautiful fine black screws for the 4 corners to hold it onto the countertop. And the Guest Gizmo, now I'm talking about how it looks. What does it do? Well, it's a headphone amp. So you just feed it left and right line level audio, and then your guest can adjust their own headphone volume with that. But it also has something else. It has logic for a cough button. And I don't understand this yet. I got to talk to Catfish about how this works. You can also wire it up so they can a guest can actually turn their fader on and off with the same button. So they hit it briefly and it's on off, and they hold it for a second or two, and it's a mute button, something like that. I may have that wrong, but it is there you go. It's mute and on off cough button. So check it out. The Guest Gizmo from Angry Audio. It's just one of many, many things that Angry Audio has in their in their whole line of products to make your studios more better. Check it out from Angry Audio. Website, angryaudio.com, and their products are available from almost every broadcast dealer on the planet. Now, our show This Week in Radio Tech is also brought to you by Max Connect. I know it's spelled funny. MAXXKNOECCKN. You got it. KNONNEC. Okay, I'll try later when I'm feeling better. They have this product called the U192. It's an MPX USB sound card. Getting more popularity are these FM audio processors that actually just run on a computer, especially those that run in Windows, like Omnia SST, or other products like Stereo Tool or Breakaway One. And these can put out the stereo multiplex signal out of a USB connected sound card or an internal sound card. The problem is there aren't any sound cards made specifically to do this. There are a couple on the market that work, but they're not perfect. They're really not perfect. And for the multiplex signal, you do want perfection. Well, the U192 from Max Connect will give you this perfection. It'll give you this perfect analog MPX composite signal out of the unit, USB connected to your computer. And this is an ideal setup. Perhaps you have an LPFM. Maybe you've got an FM translator, but you can also use this on your main station. I'm using this on a couple of translators that are at my stations, and just love this. Love doing it this way. It also has inputs and outputs for analog audio, and I believe it's got an AES EBU as well. Check it out from Max Connect, MAXXKONNECT.com. The link is in the show notes, so you can check it out there. And what's really cool about this product is it's actually built by Angry Audio. It was inspired by Josh Bone at Max Connect, and he went to Mike Dosh and said, "Can you build this?" And Mike Dosh said, "Yeah, I can do that really well." So check it out. Thanks a lot, Max Connect, for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. We've got just a couple more minutes here with Rafael Recio here in Santo Domingo at 100.1 FM, and we're going to ask Rafael the big question. What's your tip of the week, Rafael?
So for most of us engineer, I would say first listen to your client. Not all of their ideas are crazy. Some of the tech right now it's been taken out of ideas. Some of them might sound crazy, but they became reality. And just be patient and do your job and love it. Because most of us think that we're trapped inside of this crazy world about people like asking you crazy stuff. But first, you got to love what you do. Then you'll just be patient and sort things out with your clients. But otherwise, just love what you do, listen to your clients, and be patient.
That I love this advice, because as engineers, sometimes to think creatively, we have to be prompted to think creatively. We may not naturally think creatively, but if we're prompted, a lot of times we do. Well, the crazy program director, he may have an idea for some remote broadcast or some idea that as an engineer, my first impression is, no, we can't do that. But okay, well, let's think about how we can do that. And maybe you can come up with I love that advice. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks to you. And speaking of which, some of the ideas of this design of this table came out of the director here, and we thought like, I don't think we could do that. It's kind of overwhelming. I don't know. We work this out. We'll sort it out. And this came out. Yeah. And it was a crazy idea at first.
And it's beautiful and it works well.
Yeah. So listen to your client and be patient.
All right. Our guest has been Rafael Recio. Here is the Director of Engineering here at 100.1 FM in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. And I'm Kirk Harnack. Been a delight to be here. Suncast is our producer back home, doing the camera switching and everything. Thanks so much, Suncast, for your help in putting this together. And thanks also for you. Hit like and subscribe and, kind of promote the show. We'd appreciate that very, very much. All right. We'll say goodbye and see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye.